I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume. So I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. So we are now going to start reading in the Gospels. And of course, we're going chronologically, so we're going to go back to the beginning. Luke, chapter 1. Now this is a very long chapter, and so we're going to split it into 3 videos. But remember that at this time, the signs that the prophets have prophesied of are beginning to occur in the Americas among the Nephites. That is what's happening in America. The signs are beginning to be fulfilled. The people are reasoning to themselves that, well, it's just a lucky guess. While that happens, we come to Luke. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. Now, what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. In this video, we will read the first 25 verses. The Gospel according to Luke, chapter 1. Gabriel promises Zachariah that Elisabeth shall bear a son, whom they shall name John. He also tells Mary she shall be the mother of the Son of God. Mary visits Elisabeth and utters a psalm of praise. John the Baptist is born. Zacharias prophesies of John's mission. Forasmuch as many have taken in hand to set forth in order a declaration of those things which are most surely believed among us, even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word. It seemed good to me also, having had perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write unto thee in order, most excellent Theophilus, that thou mightest know the certainty of those things wherein thou hast been instructed. Before I continue, notice here we're told exactly who he is writing this to, and he seems to be writing to Theophilus not to convince him of the truth, but to strengthen his testimonial, because he's already been instructed, that thou mayest know the certainty of what you've already been instructed in. But it does say that he was an eyewitness. He does state that, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses. Now, the way that's worded, it could be that Luke was the eyewitness, or that he was instructed by the eyewitnesses. It's a little vague in the grammar there. Even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses. So is it us that are the eyewitnesses, or is it they that are the eyewitnesses? It's a little bit confusing there, but I think he's talking about the they. As we're saying, I was instructed by the eyewitnesses. That's how I know it's true. And let me tell you what they told me. Let us continue, verse 5. There was in the days of Herod the king of Judea a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah. And his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elisabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, blameless. And they had no child, because that Elisabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course, according to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. And the whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense. Let us pause it there again. Where it says he was executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course. Remember that David had set up a rotation of priests. There were enough priests that you didn't need just the high priest doing all the work. So there was a rotation of priests. You had, I think it was 4 priests at a time would serve in the temple. And they would serve for a month. And then the next month, the next 4 priests would come in. And that's what it's talking about here. It's in order of his course. So this is the time when he is allotted to serve in the temple, and during this time his allotment is the burning of the incense. I believe in the temple at this time they would have had something like 12 different tables of incense instead of just one as there was in the tabernacle. And so burning the incense wasn't just go in, light a match, light the incense, and you're done. It was a fair job. And that's what's going on here. And when it says that he is of the course of Abiah, that was the priest who in the original rotation, that was the priest that kind of oversaw that month. That's the priestly family he's descended from, and so that's why he's in that course. But let us continue. Verse 12. And when Zacharias saw him, he he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elisabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. And he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God. And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. Note what is being prophesied here. First of all, he's going to have the Spirit of the Lord. The Holy Spirit is going to be with him from his mother's womb. He is not going to drink any wine or strong drink. This is the covenant of the Nazarene, same covenant that Samson took in the Old Testament. Then he's going to have the power of Elias, and he's going to go before the Lord. So his ministry is being prophesied here. And Elias, the power of Elias is a forerunner or preparer. So Elias prepares the way for the coming of the Lord. That's what the power of Elias is. It's the power to prepare the earth for the coming. Now let us continue, verse 18. And Zacharias said unto the angel, Whereby shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife well stricken in years. And the angel answering said unto him, I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of God, and am sent to speak unto thee, and to shew thee these glad tidings. And behold, thou shalt be dumb, and not able to speak, until the day that these things shall be performed, because thou believest not my words, which shall be fulfilled in their season. And the people waited for Zacharias, and marveled that he tarried so long in the temple. And when he came out, he could not speak unto them, and they perceived that he had seen a vision in the temple, for he beckoned unto them, and remained speechless. And it came to pass, that as soon as the days of his ministration were accomplished, he departed to his own house. And after those days his wife Elisabeth conceived, and hid herself 5 months, saying, Thus hath the Lord dealt with me in the days wherein he looked on me, to take away my reproach among men. I don't blame Zacharias being a little skeptical when he first hears this. He's an old man. His wife is old. He's being told they're going to have a son. He's like, well, how do I know this is actually from God? That's his question. I don't think he doubts God's ability to do it. He just wants to make sure that this is from God, that he's not getting a vision from some other source. And that's when the angel identifies himself as Gabriel. Now we know from modern revelation, and I don't mean from the Doctrine and Covenants, it's something that Joseph Smith talked about, that Gabriel is actually Noah. Gabriel is Noah. That's his heavenly name. His celestial name is Gabriel. But Zacharias, as a sign to him, is struck dumb. The people, he's in there for a while, because he's hearing, even though there's a lot of incense to light, it's a bit of a process. It has a set amount of time that it's going to take. You know, you have a job, it takes about an hour, and you're in there for 2 hours, people start wondering what's taking you so long. And it seems that at the time that he was supposed to light the incense, you had the multitudes gathered to pray and worship at the temple. This was a ordinance that was done most likely daily. And when he comes out and he can't talk, they realize he had a vision. It's all right, you know, they all understand this. See, the Jews, even though they reject Christ, most of the Jews are they have an idea of what the Messiah is supposed to be like, and it's not Christ. That's why they reject. Most of them reject Christ, not because they don't believe in God, not because they don't believe the Scriptures, but because they don't understand the Scriptures. And so they're not looking for the right Messiah, they're looking for the wrong Messiah. And so when Zacharias comes out, they know he's had a vision. It's clear to them, they understand that. And shortly thereafter, he finishes his time of service. Even though he's dumb, he can't talk, he stays and he finishes his time of service in the temple. Then he goes home, and shortly after that, Elisabeth conceives. Before we sign off, we do have the Joseph Smith translation here. Now most of this, and we'll see this pattern in a lot of the New Testament, a lot of it is just grammatical corrections. So we have, for instance, in verse 2, says, Even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses. Joseph Smith just changes the word which to who. Who from the beginning were eyewitnesses. That's a grammatical update. That's nothing, doesn't change the meaning of the passage. So there are a couple here that have some profound changes. So, for instance, the first verse, verse 1, in the King James, it just starts out, Forasmuch as many have taken in hand to set forth and order a declaration. Joseph Smith has this. As I am a messenger of Jesus Christ, and knowing that many have taken in hand to set forth in order a declaration. So here we have Luke declaring his calling as a messenger of Christ. Does this mean he was an apostle? Did he become an apostle later? Or maybe he became one of the 70. But he definitely had a high calling in the church in order for him to call himself a messenger of Jesus Christ. A few other things here. In verse 8, King James says, "And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course," Joseph Smith removes "and it came to pass," but it says, "and while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his priesthood," signifying and clarifying that this was a priesthood ordinance that he was doing. He wasn't just performing a ritual, he was doing a priesthood ordinance. In verse 9, we also have, it says, in the King James, "According to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense." Joseph Smith corrects this. "According to the law, his lot was to burn incense." This tells us that this is according to the law that David set forth, as we read in the Old Testament. In verse 17, "And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias." Joseph Smith corrects this. "He shall go before the Lord." It's not really, it's a clarification of who he's talking about, not a profound change. And the rest of the changes here are just grammatical updates. They're not significant changes. So we will leave that there, and I will see you. We will actually read a little bit more in chapter 1 before we turn to another book. So I will see you there.